Season of Change, Mike Thompson.
On a Midwest country road, cloaked in the last lingering light of approaching autumn night, on my bicycle I ride with 60 other cyclists. Without lights, against the darkness we race. Without mercy, we race against each other. Like a giant serpent, we bend around the curves, pour over the hills, devouring the distance to the finish. To finish first was my goal. My goal all summer long was to finish first in a bike race. Many months before, at the beginning of that summer, I thought I was fit. And I thought I knew about achieving goals. On a dare, I entered a bike race. Didn't go quite as I'd planned. That was an early summer day. The sky was sapphire blue. The air was light and fresh. As I stood at the start with hundreds of other racers, surrounded by black fields with little spikes of green corn, I thought, I can do this. I can finish first. Positive mental attitude. It works. For about 100 yards. And then out of the corner of my eye, I saw another rider. I pedaled harder, and he effortlessly opened a gap. I pedaled yet harder, and he impertinently disappeared over a hill. Then one rider after another passed until I was alone. Has there ever been a gap between you and a goal? There was a huge gap between me and my goal of finishing first. But I would learn, it's not how big the gap, it's how willing you are to cross. When I'd recovered, a week later, I talked to Roger, a friend of mine, owned the bike shop. He said, Mike, how did it go? Oh, Roger, I don't think I'm going to do that again. Mike, you can do this, but you have to put in the time. There was a club that raced from Roger's shop every Wednesday night. I joined that club to put in my time. Now in a race, when you fall behind the main group, it's called being dropped. On that first race, I wasn't dropped. I was expelled. It wasn't until the second race that I was dropped. Have you ever tried so hard and not been able to make progress? That's where I was at. Frustrated. But because of Roger, I believed. It's not how big the gap. It's how willing you are, say this with me, to cross. Yeah. But I was surprised by what happened next. It was in the middle of the summer. It was hot and humid and breezeless. We were riding in tight formation. Bright board fences and big bountiful gardens were streaming past. And then I clipped the wheel in front. I was liberated from my bike and captured by the pavement. As was every rider behind me. The gap was bigger than ever, and I didn't want to cross. As he sat on the side of the road waiting for help to arrive, Fred, another rider, approached me. I said, hey, Fred, I'm really sorry. It's all my fault. You know, every time I saw Fred, How can someone who's so gray ride so fast? That's before I was gray. And Fred said, Mike, those things happen. We hope you'll still race with our club. Oh, and by the way, would you mind if I point a few things out to you? See, the reason why Fred was so fast was not only had he put in the time, he was smart. And while I would go racing off the front and get all tired out and then be passed by everyone, dropped, Fred would conserve his energy and strategize. And I learned from Fred. Well, that summer slid into autumn. Those little spikes of green corn grow so high as to make canyons out of country lanes. And that light, fresh air turned heavy and earthy. On that country road, in the last lingering light, we pedaled on. The whir of our wheels and the rhythm of our breathing, punctuated only by the occasional gear shift. Ch-ch. The pace quickened. The group accordioned forward, 26, 27, 28 miles an hour. Because I'd put in the time, I had the strength to hang on. Because of Fred's teaching, I had the wisdom. I hung right behind the leader until the last possible moment when I moved over, sprinted ahead, and finished first. I had crossed the gap to my goal. What gaps do you have to cross? Wouldn't it be a shame if you learned that you could have had so much more if only you'd been willing to cross, to put in the time, to get the knowledge, cross that gap? Well, my interest in cycling receded. My fitness fell. But I took away something far more important than from that summer. Because I learned it's not how big the gap, it's how willing you are to cross. Mr. Toastmaster.